Hey guys, so I'm filming this video today because I've had several people message me on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, just wanting to know more about my gastroparesis journey and what led to my diagnosis, how I was diagnosed, and a few other questions people have asked me. And I have been doing this video off. I've been doing this video off for the longest time because this is stepping way out of my comfort zone. I don't know if he was gonna even watch it, but I just want to share with you guys some of the things that affect me and what it's like to have a chronic illness at 21, because it isn't easy on most days. My name is Gabrielle Altman. I am 21 years old, and I have had gastroparesis since 2009, and I'm gonna just go through and give you guys like a rundown of how I was diagnosed, what my first symptoms were, things like that. So I was diagnosed in 2009. I started having stomach issues like right before my freshman year of high school. I started having stomach issues and never had stomach issues before. Me and my twin sister, she didn't have any stomach issues. It was just always me, throwing up and nausea all the time. And so I dealt with those symptoms for pretty much my full first year of high school. And then I finally was like, okay, enough's enough. I need to go see a doctor, a GI doctor. So I had my primary care doctor at Keesler Air Force Base send me to a pediatric gastroenterologist because at the time I was still in the pediatric clinic. And I went to him and we did CAT scans, we did colonoscopies, we did endoscopies. I had a gastric emptying test done. I had a barium test done where you had to drink this like barium, and like multiple things of lab work, and nothing was showing up on the test, not anything. And it was very frustrating because I knew something wasn't right, but yet everything on the test was showing that everything was fine. But it wasn't until my gastric emptying study test that showed that I had gastroparesis. So the test that I had done is you bring like two boiled eggs, I believe. No, 2 regular eggs and like a piece of bread from your house. And you have to be there in the morning time, and you get there and you give it to them, and they cook it in a microwave, and they put this radioactive dye on top of it, and you have to eat it. And then you get in this machine and you lay in this machine I laid in it for over 4 hours. And it shows, it moving through your stomach and your digestive tract. And that's the only test that came back that showed that I had gastroparesis. Everything else, my doctor was just like, you just have to have irritable bowel syndrome because we can't find anything wrong with you. I had allergy testing done, like for food. Nothing really came back except for like casein, which is a milk product, or protein and milk products. And so I do try and do like dairy free if I can. But anyway, so that's when I was first diagnosed, was in 2009-ish, 10. I don't remember the exact date. But this past October, I got very sick, and after being diagnosed with gastroparesis, I ended up actually coming off all medication for like the rest of my high school year, or high school career. I did have a few hospital admissions when I was in high school, and I actually had to finish the 10th grade early because I got so sick. But after that, I mean, my first few years of college, I was asymptomatic, didn't have any issues, and we thought I was in remission. So this past October, I got really sick and I went down quickly. I saw my primary care doctor at Keesler because I'm now seeing the family health clinic out there, and he pretty much told me like there's nothing I can really do. It's not that I can't treat you, it's because it's a gastric thing, so you need to see a gastro doctor. So I went and saw a gastric doctor at Keesler, and I absolutely loved him. He was wonderful. And we started in like November. He put me on Reglan. And people with gastroparesis, there's only like 4 different medications out there right now that treat motility disorders. And so he put me on Reglan, and we were really hopeful because I was just throwing up all the time, always having to run to the bathroom. It was miserable. And so he put me on that. Well, after like the first month, I was like, I can't do this anymore because it was making me so tired, and I was having to take it like 3 times a day. And at the time, I mean, I was in school full time, and there's no way I could sit through class without falling asleep because the medication just made me so exhausted. And there's actually a side effect to Reglan, which they tell you about before you start it. And I believe it's called cardiac dyskinesia, and it means you can have a side effect of the medication, and it's pretty much where you like lose movement of your mouth, and like you'll stick your tongue out randomly and just do really random things. And so thankfully I did not have that symptom, but it did make me extremely tired, so we decided that it was best to come off of it. So then we just talked about trying domperidone, and that medication is not approved by the FDA here in the States. So you have to have a prescription from your doctor, and I had to order it through an online Canadian pharmacy. So I ordered it from Canada. It was like $75 for like 90 of the pills or something like that. And we were really hopeful that that was gonna work for me. And by this time, it was like November, December, and he was like, let's just go ahead and do another colonoscopy and just make sure nothing's wrong. So we did that. Everything came back fine, which I figured it would. And then we decided between like October and December, I tried several different diets. I did gluten-free, I did dairy-free, I did wheat-free, and nothing was helping. None of the diets were helping. It was kind of just like a hit and miss type thing. And I have this journal here, and I have written in this journal everything I have eaten or drank since last October. And so every day I write in here like what I eat and what I drink, and I document if I like throw up after I eat it or anything like that, or what symptoms I have after I eat that food. And so I can try and pinpoint, you know, maybe foods that trigger it or don't trigger it. So that's been very beneficial. And my nutritionist that I work with, she looks at this every time I go see her and makes sure my calories are doing okay and that kind of thing. So anyway, after December, I started to feel a little bit better, and I was like extremely hopeful that, you know, okay, maybe this is the end of it. Maybe I'm back in remission. And I went to Key West with my dad for Christmas. We went on a trip, and I did pretty well. I still wasn't feeling the greatest, but was feeling better than I had in months. But we came back in January, and I started classes again, and I just kept going downhill. And so in January, I went back to see my GI doctor, and he decided that we should try an all-liquid diet. So I tried an all-liquid diet until my hospitalization in March, and I was literally eating baby food. I just try to do like applesauce and pudding, just drinking liquids as much as I can. And so then I got really sick at the end of March, shortly after my grandmother passed away. And we still haven't really figured out what could have triggered this flare-up that I've been in and that I have not been able to get out of yet. We have no clue. My grandmother started feeling really bad in October, and she went downhill very quickly. So we don't know if maybe that was what caused it, and it was just I had so much stuff going on emotionally, or if I just caught a viral infection that caused it to flare up again. We just really aren't that sure. And so in March, I went to the hospital, and what I thought would be a normal ER visit, because I'd been several times to the ER before, and I would go in, they'd give me fluids for dehydration, they would give me pain medication for the pain, and lots of nausea medication, and then normally they would just send me on my way. Well, this time the doctor came in and said, we looked at your lab work and you are not going home. We are keeping you. You are very malnourished, and we need to figure out what we can do. So that was on a Monday, and my mom had actually flown out of town the day before that. So the next day my GI doctor came in. It was on a Tuesday, and told me, look, we need to put a PICC line in your arm, and you need to start TPN feedings immediately. At first, my parents were not thrilled with this news, because this is like the last resort. We did not want to have to do IV nutrition. But he pretty much told me that if I didn't start doing these TPN feedings, that my organs would eventually start to shut down. And being 21 and hearing that was probably, it was very hard to hear that. So I had my PICC line put in 3 days later, and I've been on IV nutrition ever since. I've been doing TPN feedings ever since March 31st, and they have saved my life, and I'm forever thankful for my PICC line, because without it, I honestly don't know if I'd be here today. And I'm thankful that, you know, I have been able to get my nutrition in order to keep my body going. And so I've been doing that, and I just met with my surgeon yesterday, and I'm to the point where I have gained all my weight back, because in October I was about 115 pounds, which is the most I've ever weighed in my life, and I dropped to 88 by the time I was admitted to the hospital in March. And so I had lost over 25 pounds. And that took a toll on me because I dropped the weight so quickly. None of my clothes would fit. It was just very frustrating. And constantly like trying all these different medications, nothing was working. And it just got to be where it was just really a lot to handle. And so we decided yesterday that I am good enough to stop the TPN feedings, which I'm very excited about, because I have been doing that every night. My feedings run for 12 hours, so typically I hook up around like 5:30 to 6:30ish, and unhook between 5:30 and 6:30 in the morning before my mom leaves for work, because my mom's the one that hooks me up and unhooks me, and she has pretty much been my full-time nurse, and I have been so thankful for her and for you know, doing this, because it was very intimidating at first, doing all of this. And so these are what my like TPN bags look like. This is just one. This doesn't have lipids in it anymore. So it still infuses over a 12-hour period, and we inject vitamins into it, like down here. We just inject them at nighttime, and then the bag turns like yellow, and it, I think, looks like pee, but I try and convince myself that it's yellow Gatorade and not urine, because that's what it looks like. So anyway, I do that, and I'm working with my infusion company right now to get the orders to discontinue the TPN, and my plan is to keep my PICC line in until the end of the month. I have been having to do iron infusions because I've been anemic, and they told me it's a lot easier to have infusions through your PICC line than just through a normal IV, because it's not as harsh on your veins and that kind of thing. So my next infusion isn't until the end of the month, so I'm going to keep my PICC until then. I follow up with my surgeon again in a month. I had a gastric stimulator put in May. So after I was discharged from the hospital, it was like April the 2nd, I believe, or April 1st, something like that. And at the time, my GI doctor had told me that, you know, there was no other things he could do to help me, that, you know, he didn't put the stimulators in, so I needed to go see a surgeon. So I went to Oshner's in New Orleans, and I met my surgeon, and when I went, he gave me two options. He gave me the option to have a gastric stimulator put in, or to have a pyloroplasty. The pyloroplasty is a little bit more invasive than the gastric stimulator, so we chose to do the gastric stimulator first. The gastric stimulator, there is not a cure. I mean, it doesn't cure you. It just kind of helps alleviate the symptoms. And that's the thing that stinks about gastroparesis, is that there isn't a cure right now. And so it pretty much, we're having to mask our symptoms and just kind of keep them at bay. So I had the gastric stimulator put in May. That surgery went really well. It was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And now that I've had abdominal surgery, at least I kind of know what to expect, because the gastric stimulator, the battery can last up to 5 years, but the higher your settings are, the quicker your battery runs out. So we aren't sure when my battery will run out. It just kind of depends, once I find the right settings, how long, you know, I'll be able to maybe keep it. I know some people that it lasts them almost the full 5 years, and then I know some people that have to have surgery almost like every 16 to 18 months. I'm hoping that is not what I have to do, but we'll just cross that bridge when we get there. And so far, the gastric stimulator has really been beneficial. It has helped me tremendously with the vomiting. I used to vomit every single day. Now it's like once a month. So it's really helped with that. But I'm really hoping that it helps with the bloating issues that I've been having. My stomach is swollen all the time. It never goes down. And it looks like I'm 3 or 4 months pregnant, which can be very, you know, it makes me really self-conscious because my clothes don't fit right, and it's frustrating. And so I try and like buy bigger clothes so I can kind of like hide it. But I'm 21 years old and I'm having to like hide myself because I don't want people to think that, oh, she's pregnant, you know. And I've even had people, you know, ask me if I'm pregnant, and when I tell them, no, I have a chronic illness that I just throw up all the time and my stomach is always swollen, they kind of, you know, they understand. But anyway, so I had the gastric stimulator put in, and that has really helped me. And I am so thankful for it. I met with my surgeon yesterday, and the device has flipped up a little bit on me, which he told me there's not much I can do about it. It kind of just does its own thing. The only time we'll really be concerned is if it completely flips around in my stomach, because I'll have to go back in and have surgery to have it, you know, moved around a little bit. So I am doing pretty well with that. He increased my frequency yesterday. I've been experiencing some pain on my side, and it's been kind of like a new pain since having surgery, and he told me that he believes that it could be the device shocking me. And people do have issues with the device shocking them, and but I never knew what like a shocking feeling would feel like, so I wasn't sure if, you know, it was shocking me or if it was just like this weird pain I was having. So anyway, he told me that we're more than likely not going to be able to increase the voltage anymore on the device, which kind of stinks, but he told me that it's at a place now that he's comfortable with. And so we increased the frequency yesterday. So how it works is the stimulator turns on for 1 second, off for 4 seconds, and then it just repeats that cycle over and over again. And I am going to continue this month and see how my nausea gets. I'm hoping it will get better as the months go on. And I'm hoping the bloating will get a little bit better. And I think hopefully by mid-September I'll have my PICC line out. And maybe start working again. I had to quit my job in March after I had my PICC line placed because, as most of you know, or if you don't know, I was a swim instructor and lifeguard, and I had to quit that job because you can't get your PICC line wet. So that was really devastating for me. I loved my job. I put my heart into it every single day, and to have an illness that's preventing you from working is not always the easiest thing. And so I'm hoping to get back into it within the next few months, and I miss it tremendously. I miss my swim kids, and I just hope that, you know, as the months go on, I'll start to feel better and that kind of thing. And in March, after I was you know, put in the hospital and I came out, a lot of my teachers, I'm a full-time student at South Alabama, a lot of my teachers, you know, maybe requested that I should just try and just withdraw from classes, and I refused to do that. I do not want my illness to prevent me from getting my college degree, and I'm not gonna lie, almost every single day I got up out of class, left the classroom, went to throw up in the bathroom, and came back and sit back down and listen to the rest of the lecture, because that's what you just have to do. And I've learned that you just have to do, you know, if things like that happen, you just have to learn to manage it and just keep going, because, you know, I don't want my illness to prevent me from getting a college degree. And so I'm hoping that, you know, I start school within the next few weeks. I'll be taking 4 classes on campus and 1 online. And I'm hoping that once the stress kind of starts to come back, my symptoms won't get any worse. I'm staying hopeful though, and I think that I'll do a lot better this semester than last semester. I did finish last semester with 4 A's and 1 B. I do not know how I pulled it off, but I'm thankful that I somehow did. And so as school gets, you know, closer to starting, I am a little bit more nervous just because I don't know how, you know, my body's gonna react to all the stress. And since I'm gonna be a senior, I'll be applying for graduate school. I'm hoping to start graduate school next fall to become a speech therapist, and so I'll be taking the GRE and just, doing all those applications and things like that. So I had a few questions that some people wanted me to answer, and I'm just going to kind of go and see what I have written down here. So the first one is, what were my first symptoms? And this one's kind of hard because my symptoms started showing up when I was in high school. So it's really hard to say my first, what I remember my first symptoms were. All I remember is just being nauseous all the time. And anytime I ate, my stomach would hurt and I would be doubled over in pain. And felt like I had the stomach flu all the time. And but now that, I got, this flare up in October, my symptoms have more been on the lines of just bloating, having early, I get full really quickly, I can't eat a lot and I get full. I have a lot of acid reflux and heartburn, and I also, deal with the nausea and the vomiting, upset stomach, things like that. And so those are kind of my symptoms, and I also would suffer with chronic fatigue, which is very challenging because some days I barely can put my feet on the floor and get out of bed each day. And so I have been, hoping that these iron infusions will maybe help with some of that. And we're just kind of, I have a few more, and then I'm hoping to, maybe see some improvement in my energy levels. The next thing was, how long did it take to get a diagnosis? And this took probably about 7 or 8 months, because I had to go through extensive testing. And so that's the, it was just a lot of we don't really know, so we're just gonna do it all type test. I had everything done under the sun, pretty much. And so that was kind of all the different testing that I had to go through was the CAT scans and the ultrasounds and the blood work and everything in between. Another question I had was, were there diagnoses prior that were incorrect? And no, there was not. I was diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome and gastroparesis at the exact same time. And I also was asked, with idiopathic gastroparesis, which is what I have, idiopathic gastroparesis means that there is no known cause. We have no clue what caused me to have gastroparesis. I have a twin sister, and she doesn't have any stomach issues, thank the Lord. And I was 3 pounds 8 ounces when I was born, so we're not sure if maybe when I was born my stomach wasn't fully developed at the time. We don't know if I got a viral infection that killed the vagus nerves of the stomach. We have no really clue about what could have caused it. There is some research coming out about the Gardasil shot, which I did have that Gardasil shot. It's for cervical cancer, and it's a 3-series shot, and I had my first 2 when I lived in Virginia, and I had my last one when I moved here to Mississippi. And I had my last shot in 2008, I believe. And there's recent studies coming out showing that Gardasil vaccines have been linked to causing gastroparesis. Now, I've always been a person that is pro-vaccine. I'm a firm believer in that. And, all my children, hopefully, if I, once I have children, that they will all be vaccinated. It's just something that I've always done, my parents have done, and so there is information coming out about maybe Gardasil causing it, but there's still a lot of research that needs to be done for it. And the other one was, did people think that you were making it up? This question is very difficult to answer because, yes, people did. For the longest time, it took me months and months of convincing doctors and nurses and everyone in between that something was not right. And I even had been transferred to see a pediatric gastroenterologist at Tulane. And when I went there, she pretty much told me to my face that all of it was in my head and that I was just making it up and that I just needed to have cognitive therapy. And So it was very frustrating because it took me a long time to convince people that I wasn't making it up, that it was, something that I knew was wrong. And, I just have to say that if you're going through something and you think something is wrong, don't let people prevent you from not having further testing done. Like, it's your body. You need to make the decision that's best for you. And if you feel something's not right, then you need to push for that. And through my journey, I've learned that as a person, you are your best advocate. And you're only going to get the best care if you ask for it. And don't be afraid to speak up. And it's very important to be involved with your healthcare and, things that you have going on. I have several teams of doctors that I work with, and I have about 5 or 6, maybe 8 doctors that I see on a regular basis. So I really push that. Like, if you think something's wrong, go with your gut instinct and, just keep, finding or looking for those answers, of what could maybe be causing your issues. I also have been asked if I've considered maybe going to like the Mayo Clinic, and I have considered it. The closest one to me is in Jacksonville, Florida, so I would have to travel to it. But I have considered going to it because, it's never a bad idea to get a second opinion or to get a new set of eyes looking at your care and your case. And I don't know if any of you have watched, but the movie Miracles from Heaven, that movie came out, and I saw it in like the beginning of March, I believe, right before my hospitalization. And the girl, Annabelle, in the movie, has pseudo-obstruction disorder, which is also a form of dysmotility. And it's very similar to gastroparesis, and that movie hit very close to home for me. I cry every single time I watch it because it's almost what I go through every single day, or what I used to go through every single day before I had my stimulator. And so people asked if I considered going to see the guy or the doctor in the movie. His name is Dr. Samuel Nurko, and he's at Boston Children's Hospital in Boston, Massachusetts. And I have considered going to him too, but I would have to fly up there, and I don't know how long like the waiting list is or how any of that works. But I have considered going to get other opinions because, there may be something else that I can try that, would be beneficial for me. I also am in several support groups on Facebook, and this is where I learned a lot of the information. I learned so much information from these people, and I've met some of the greatest people on these pages. I've even met some in person. And it's really nice to have people that are going through the same thing that you are. So I really enjoy getting to, be a part of those groups. And I strongly encourage, if you are going through anything or if you have a diagnosis, search on Facebook and see if you can find like a support group or something, because it has been one of the most beneficial things, and I can always go on there and ask questions, and people are always very understanding and sweet and will do anything to like help you. And that kind of thing. I even have a lady that I met through a support group, and my sister actually had been talking to her for a few years before we met, and she actually sends me dressings for my PICC line because I've been having issues with the adhesive, and so she actually sends me some of her extra PICC line patches and things like that. So it's been really beneficial to be a part of that group, and I absolutely love it. I strongly encourage it. And I also do, I post a lot on Facebook about DDP awareness, and especially since this is Digestive Tract Paralysis Awareness Month, I will be posting a lot online just to get the word out, because we need more funding and we need a cure, and I do believe one's out there. I just think it's going to take some time to find it. I take about 10 medications a day. These are all my medications. And it's a lot to keep up with. I have been to probably over 75 doctor's appointments since the beginning of this year, so it's a lot. And trying to keep up with it all gets very stressful at times, but I'm thankful for all of my doctors and all of my healthcare team, because I would not be where I am today without them. And I think it's very important when you go see your doctor or you go see your nurse practitioner, thank them for what they do, because they work so hard, and they really do have your best interests in mind. And it's just very important that you show your appreciation to them. So I encourage you to do that as well. And I wanted to share with you this article that I read. It's kind of about gastroparesis, and it says, August is Gastroparesis Awareness Month. Gastroparesis is a digestive condition that causes the stomach to be unable to empty and digest food properly. This condition affects approximately 1 in 25 Americans. Although the disease may seem fairly common, it is hardly known. Those who have the illness face many challenges, as the disease is quite complex. It can be fairly complicated to treat. I could tell you the medical definition of gastroparesis, but that wouldn't show you just how terrible it is. This is gastroparesis through the eyes of the many patients struggling with this condition. GP is sitting in the bathroom puking your guts out. GP is going out to dinner and just ordering a drink. GP is spending holidays in the hospital. GP is falling asleep on the bathroom floor puking. GP is my worst enemy. GP is not being able to eat your own birthday cake. GP is the reason I look 6 months pregnant after eating. GP is the reason I sit at the dinner table hooked up to an IV pole watching my family eat dinner. GP is starving to eat, but you can't. GP is why I have a hospital in my own home. GP is starving to death. GP is trips to the emergency room at 3 a.m. and GP is why I lost my best friend. I did not lose my best friend, but I'm just reading the article. GP is constant nausea, tears, and pain. GP is like having the flu every day of your life. GP is not being able to sleep because the pain is so bad. GP is the devil that stole my body. GP is having the simplest action taken away from you. GP is the reasons the words, "Have you lost weight? You look so good," aren't appealing to me anymore. GP is the reason I'm getting a treatment that is helping me survive, but the complications may kill me. GP is putting your life on pause because you are simply trying to consume food. GP is slowly killing me. Gastroparesis is more than just a paralyzed stomach. Gastroparesis has broken me, hurt me, tore me down, and made me feel so many emotions I don't ever want to feel. Think this is too harsh? Think again. This is the reality of thousands all over the world who are fighting for a normal life. GP is a battle that has affected my life in many negative ways, but also very positive ones. GP is making me stronger. GP is the reason I'm closer to my family than I've ever been. GP is the reason I've been learning the real meaning behind in sickness and in health. GP is why I want to be a nurse. GP is a challenge that's given me strength and courage. GP is tough, but I'm tougher. GP is why me and my fiance and I have dates next to the toilet. GP is being able to see life through a new perspective. GP is why I've met so many brave warriors. GP is what makes me weak, but therefore I am strong. These are all the quotes of the many living with gastroparesis who deserve a cure more than anything. And reading that article just really hit close to home, because that was literally my life between October and March, and pretty much into May until I had my stimulator surgery. And although I wouldn't wish gastroparesis on anyone, it has made me a better person because of it. And I have learned a lot about myself through this process, and my strength or my faith has been strengthened through all this. People ask me, how do you stay so positive? How do you stay so encouraged? And it's because I know that there's a season in life for everything, and everyone struggles, everyone goes through things, and it's important that as individuals we learn to embrace our struggles and share them with one another, because no one's life is perfect, and no one's going to have an easy life. Nothing in life is going to be easy. And I just think it's important that we share that information with one another and encourage each other. And this has just been a really long process for me, and like I said, I'm very thankful for it. I wouldn't wish this on anyone, like I said, but it's made me a completely better person. And I have actually this year, one of my New Year's resolutions was to read the entire Bible this year. And so I read the Bible every single day. I have an app on my phone that tells me what verses I need to read each day. And so I've been doing that, and I am like 56% done with reading the Bible. So I'm super excited about that. And so getting to read the Bible every day has been very beneficial for me. And I have enjoyed doing that. And I think now that I've, since I've been sick, and being told that I'll probably have this for the rest of my life, and that it'll probably never go away, but, I'll just learn to manage my symptoms. you know, you just have to roll with the punches and take what life gives you. And, you know, the cards that you're dealt is what you have to handle. And, you know, that's what I'm trying to do. And so, anyway, I just wanted to hop on here and give you guys a little bit information about my gastroparesis journey. And I hope I answered some of the questions you guys were wanting to know. And this is not a fancy video by any means. I am making this video from my iPad. So I don't even know how good of a quality it'll be. But people have been asking me to do this, and you know, I really wanted to do that for everyone. So anyway, I thank you guys for watching, and if, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to message me on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. And just know that things will get easier, and just to cling to your faith in everything that you do. Alright guys, I hope you guys have a blessed week, and I love you all. Thank you so much for your kind words, your support, your prayers, phone calls, text messages, everything in between. I am greatly appreciative of them, and some days your comments and your posts are the only things that make me get out of bed every morning, and so I greatly appreciate them. And I thank you guys so very much from the bottom of my heart for everything. To all my GP friends, know that it will get easier, and you know, we just have to all stick together and help each other out. And you know, if you hear a new, you know, information about something that might work, you know, we all just share it with one another. I'm very thankful for those friends. I've even met one in person. Her name's Miss Loretta, and I'm sure you've seen me posting about it on Facebook. We've become very close. She's probably one of my closest friends now, and we get to share our struggles with each other. You know, when we have bad days, we just message each other and we just kind of vent to one another. And so I'm very thankful for those friends. Anyway, I think that's about it. And just know that I love you all, and remember to love one another. Alright, thanks guys. Bye.